All right, we're live.
We get it. You can do the intro this week.
I don't know.
All right, I can do it.
You want to?
Yeah.
Okay. You're good at it.
3, 2, 1. Let's go.
And we're back. Francy and The Law, episode 2.
Hello, hello.
Today's topics, Halloween episode, of course. So we're not necessarily reviewing anything super scary, but we are going to talk about El Camino, the new Breaking Bad movie, or a Breaking Bad movie, I should say. As the title suggests, there should be more of those coming down the road. And then we are going to talk a little bit about Netflix, Paul Rudd show, Living with Yourself. Did I say that right?
So good.
And then we got some other stuff that
Yeah.
we'll touch on. But with that in mind, what did you?
Well,
wanna
I
say
was going to
something?
ask you because the last episode we were going to talk about it, but we just kind of spaced it.
Mhm.
But you were doing Sober October.
Oh. Me?
And yeah, so I was going to ask you how that's been going. You look like a child. You've lost so much weight. So
Thank you.
Lost a lot of years. Good job.
Yeah. I also shaved for the
Yes, that's
first time in
perfect.
a while. And good Lord, I look way too young without my beard. I can't wait for it to come back. And,
How long does it take you to grow it back?
A couple of weeks probably to where it was. I guess I should take these off now that we're filming. But the costume, if you can't tell, can you guess what I am?
Burglar or bandit. What's the difference?
Cat burglar.
Cat burglar. Okay.
That's why I wore the sneakers. 'Cause the cat,
Is that the difference?
Yeah. You're sneaky and they don't catch up on you. You obviously are a
Skeleton.
skeleton.
Did you see my other costume I did over the weekend? Bob Ross.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Keep
That was
deflecting Sober October.
It was fun. I wanted to do this since I'd been wearing the same thing for the past few days. But yeah, I was Bob Ross. I threw the wig
Oh,
on.
I did see that. That was really
Yeah,
good.
that was fun.
You pulled it off. Did everyone love it?
Yeah, it was fun.
Cool.
A lot of people. We went to a party on Sunday, a pumpkin carving party with some of the friends from Casey's, and yeah, some people didn't recognize me, but it was fun.
Do you mind if I set my bag down? It's getting kind of sweaty.
It's gonna not look that way. No, do it.
All right.
Now you're just a guy in a mask.
I'm just very uncomfortable, so I'm just gonna take
So
some
anyway,
of it
yeah.
off.
So Sober October. How much weight did you lose throughout it? Do you know?
And now I've switched costumes. Can you guess who I am?
Steve Jobs.
That's what everyone thought. I was trying to do Sebastian from Cruel Intentions, but I don't think I lost enough
Yeah,
weight.
you need a.
I need like
grow
90,
some hair.
like 90s hair.
Well, you're
but-
trying to compare yourself to Ryan Felipe?
Yeah, Ryan
Okay.
Philippe.
Is it Philippe? I think it's Felipe.
Felipe? No, I don't think
No.
it's Felipe. We'll have to look that up later, but yeah. So Sober October, I almost made it to the end of October, but then last night I did have some mezcal. So in theory,
Did
I
some
made
what?
it a month. Some mezcal. On the
Mezcal.
rocks,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
Good
was at a
job, though.
place that
That's
had it,
awesome.
and I was like, I'm at 31 days because I started a few days early, and I was like, close enough.
there you go. Good job. Proud of you.
Thank you. What's the longest you've made it?
Like 4 months. About
Mm.
like a few years ago. Went
Mm.
like 3-4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good. I felt great. But so it's nice having a cocktail here and there, right?
Yeah. So should we talk about El Camino first?
Sure.
All right. So scale of 1 to 10, we can leave that for the end, but if you want to, but I want to give it like a 7.1 right off the bat.
Do you?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I have
So
to say it.
that sounds like that would be a disappointing
Yeah.
rating, right?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about what I did. Was I wanted to make this like I was at the movie theater. So I took my recliner and I moved it as close to my TV as I possibly could without not being able to make out the TV. And I turned it up way loud on the sound bar, and I tried to replicate what it would be like in the movie theater.
We watched it on our iPad on the patio, I think. Different experiences.
Yeah. And it still didn't pack that cinematic punch that I thought it was gonna. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot I can say about it, but what did you think about it?
Well, I guess I really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
But I guess you're right. It didn't feel more like a movie. It wasn't cinematic. It just was kind of. And at first, I disagreed with Ryan. He's like, it was just like an extra 2 episodes or so. I'm like, no. It was like, but it
Yeah.
kind of really was. But a little bit of closure. Did you? I mean, Jesse was one of my favorite characters for sure.
Yeah.
Probably my most favorite.
Oh, for me for sure.
Sure,
same.
many others. That's why they.
Yeah, I
made
feel
it for
exactly
him.
the same. So, what'd you think though? Like, it basically ended the same way Breaking Bad ended, where he's just like driving a car and you don't know if it's gonna work out or not.
Got more closure
When
though.
you say closure, like, what do you?
Well, I don't know. I guess he kind of had the pseudo talks too with Jane, who I did not like, but I thought that was kind of good
What you
for the
what
show.
you really found out was he can take a beating
Oh yeah.
because that
He-
little redheaded dude really gave him a beating.
Yeah.
Could you believe that guy is a great actor? I cannot. But what's his name?
From
The guy that you should have been him for Halloween. He has red hair.
Oh.
You could have did that.
Todd.
You're a
All
lot. He
gingers
Todd. Yeah,
look the
Todd.
same, huh?
He gained a little weight though, so I don't know that you can.
Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about that too. Aaron Paul
Poor
gained
guy.
weight, and so did
No,
Todd.
but Aaron Paul looks more like
I looked up
not
his
as like a
age.
scrawny little kid. Yeah.
He's 40, so
Yeah.
he probably shot that like when he was
And he's also had
last
2
year,
kids since
39.
He said 2 kids since
And
the
then like they did some
show.
flashback scenes, and I was like, he is not pulling off 2013 Aaron Paul. Or even there was some stuff like before that was I think supposed to be earlier in the season.
Yeah,
But
when him and Walt met up at the diner.
Yeah, I was like, Aaron, you can't.
That
like,
was an
do a
interesting-
keto diet for a few months to like
No method acting.
get that. Maybe you could have had some of that. Yeah, the meth It really thinned him out
Did this do you guys feel like a cash grab?
No.
a little.
That's what it
Maybe.
felt like to me.
I didn't
it felt
feel
like
that way.
it felt like 2 new episodes of an amazing series that clearly they signed on to more for from Netflix. That to me
I didn't know
smelled
that.
like a cash grab, and they're going to continue to do them.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was like a little intro. I'm assuming it's the same director, same cinematographer, same director of photography. But if it isn't, then it's new people coming in and cashing in on the old.
Yeah.
And,
Well, the behind the scenes, they were talking about how they made sure all of the other actors were in it, and I don't know. I thought it was good, but
What'd you give it though on a scale of 1 to 10?
probably like an 8.5.
And you'd watch it
I wasn't
again?
like disappointed.
Like that's an
I actually
elite-
watched it again today.
That's an elite score. If you did watch it again, I guess so.
Yeah.
What'd you give the
Kinda
whole
wanted to
series?
refresh. Oh, I mean, probably as close to a 10 as you can be.
So this
Yeah.
was not as good as the series for you. This wasn't like some
It wasn't as
amazing wrap up.
impactful.
No, it
But
didn't
they
have
did
the
it well.
emotional impact.
Yeah, and it was sad with the parents too. That was kind of a weird. I don't know. It's just interesting. It was a good. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What'd you give it, Dana? I don't know if we got
Yeah, I
your
think
rating
it was
on this take.
7.1, I think
Mm-hmm.
is what I'd give it. I had such more of an emotional reaction when he was driving the car out of the El Camino, out of, the complex at the end of the whole series than I did basically at any point in El Camino.
Mm-hmm.
And it just almost felt like El Camino met, what's that show on HBO, Entourage, where like nothing really goes wrong, like everything works out right. Like I watch that show and I'm just like, everything's right for these guys. It's just like rich guys, they have a problem, it gets solved in 30 minutes, and then they're millionaires, and then everything's
It's a lot
good.
of sitcoms. And
Yeah.
shows.
And I kind of felt like things fell into place a little bit too easily with the 2 basic henchmen that he went to go see and get help from. They like helped him out, like no questions asked, because he's their hero, is what the one guy said.
Oh, Badger and his friend.
Yeah.
Oh well, that is to be. Yeah, but they're friends. Like.
What?
But I still think he stuck his neck out a little too much, and I wanted to see more of the interrogation scene that they put in the trailer that isn't in El Camino. Spoiler alert.
Right. What happened with all that? They didn't even dive into it.
No, that as a criminal defense attorney, I was like, oh, okay, so that's what's gonna be, or that's what's gonna be what sinks him in this movie is that interview. You know what I mean? And I want to kind of see how that plays out. because they had a big lead up in the trailer and there was no follow up on the interview.
So what if it was about him getting out and then going to, he got a lawyer, and how could he have gotten away with, how could he have been in without prison time or a short amount of it?
Oh, no. I mean, he would have had to do a significant chunk of time. And he would have had huge pressure to throw people under the bus that could have gotten him killed. And it would have just been like, a lot of the other scenarios situation that he had. Yeah. Yeah, definitely Takeshman.
Is it? What is it?
I think
Takashi?
Takashi
69, 69 or 6.
Takeshman Kutcher 69. Yeah, so that I would still recommend it though, that being said. But what do you think about, since you're an artist, like the imagery in that? Because like I said, it was a movie. This is the movie, so this is the cinematic element. I know you watched it on your phone or whatever. I hope not.
No, iPad.
iPad is really not that much
Maybe
better.
we should have done it on the TV, but...
But did you feel like they put more effort into the essentially set design and cinematography, like just like the art aspect of the film?
In a way, like the when they're in that guy's Todd's apartment. They did a good job, making it look pretty crazy and just torn apart. But I don't know, nothing like movie-like or not, overly. But that's actually a good point. I feel like they didn't have, remember in the show, all of the skies that they would have, like in Albuquerque. It's beautiful. Have you ever been to Albuquerque?
No.
Area? It's beautiful. Their skies are just amazing. But they didn't really do a lot of that. That was kind of, I guess the show was a little more impressive.
Well,
in that
so
aspect.
I just wanted to pull this up because we had talked about this before, and I'm like, I want to remember this guy's name. The director of photography that did all the cinematography for Breaking Bad, that also did this. He did Better Call Saul. And then his project that he was involved in between the last season of Better Call Saul and this movie was Game of Thrones.
Oh.
So he was a little busy in between. With now with Game of Thrones being done, this is now his new project series that rather than pick up doing episodes, he wants to do a movie, go on, do some other projects, maybe come back and do another movie. But that's what that guy's been up to.
Huh, that's interesting.
Isn't that crazy just the last 15, 20 years of filming projects?
Because, you watch the first couple episodes of Breaking Bad, and you're like, it just kind of looks like a show, and it was Walter White who drew you in. And then as the show went on, I think they invested more in the cinematography for sure.
In his underwear, in his tighty whities in the middle of the desert with a gun. Yeah,
it was just like kind of like gimmick. But there was a really good shot, though, in this when they went to go bury the maid.
Oh,
out in the desert. There was a great scene there where it's just like gorgeous Albuquerque. You see the desert landscape, and they captured it really well. And I'm like, all right, this is starting to feel like a real movie. They got that vibe from like that Traffic movie. I don't know if you ever saw that. That kind of.
It's been so long.
That like sepia tone that's carried through so much. So many movies about the Southwest since then. That wasn't in like any Westerns, and then it's like Traffic comes out, and then sepia. Everything is sepia, especially if it's in the desert. It's kind of funny.
That was that movie, and the other one that really hit that on the head was 21 Grams. Did you see that?
Who directed that?
It sounds I remember who directed it. It was Benicio del Toro was in it. He was it was all about that when you die, there's some there was the idea that there was some measurement of weight that was exuded from you that weighed to be 21 grams.
Oh.
It was interesting. It was a really good movie. But it's called the Mexico Yellow. Was that sepia tone, sort of dingy green, yellow, Tijuana vibe.
Yeah.
In film. But those are two ones that hit it. They're exact same look.
Yeah, and I love it. Not to go back to Joker, but I feel like Joker had some of that same kind of tone where it's just like they kept it real grimy in every shot. It never, even the white at the end of that movie, it was still like had like an off-white kind of vibe to it. But anyways, so what was the other show we wanted to chat about?
Oh, Living with Yourself with Paul Rudd.
Yeah, tell us more.
Did you wait? So you said you watched a couple episodes.
Episodes, and that kind of, or 2.5 episodes.
I guess it starts out with him being buried alive and coming out. So he goes. He's just this depressed kind of guy, and a friend refers him to this spa. And the spa is actually a place where they can reconfigure your DNA. It's like this fresh new DNA, blah, blah, blah. And did you see when Tom Brady came out?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Spoiler
No,
alert.
it's
was
so good. I
great.
won't say it, but like that was pretty funny. I didn't get the whole joke until Ryan like kind of pieced it together
Yeah.
for me, but that was pretty funny. But it's
He
very
looks-
like
Yeah, and I don't
he
follow
looks
sports,
over
and I got that one.
with just a little teeny smirk, and the guy, Paul Rudd says, "You done this before?" He goes, six times,
Yeah.
and gets into his whatever Escalade or whatever and drives off. You're like, that was great.
Yeah, it was great.
But I think it's a good concept, but also, it has its like metaphoric value to it as well. Maybe I didn't really didn't go into the show even thinking that. I thought it was just some comedy that Paul Rudd was in, but
Yeah, well, it's a very, like, on the surface, if you just explain the plot of the first 2 episodes like you did, it's like he clones himself. They were supposed to kill him, but he survives because there's an issue with the gas levels that they used when they knocked him out before they buried him. And then he finds his clone, and basically it's The Sixth Day, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is probably one of his worst movies.
I have not seen
and one
it.
of the worst movies of all time. But I love Arnold, and it reminded me a lot of that. And where that movie, The Sixth Day, messed up, this embraces it and really succeeds with that concept of cloning and makes it funny. And I think the writing is gold, and I think Paul Rudd is gold.
oh gosh, he's just so amazing. But I think it also shows you, because it's this better version of him, but it's just this like refreshed version. And I think that it also shows you that you can always be like your better self. It's in you, but I don't know. It's just this weird like inner demon /
Yeah.
but you'll the more you watch it.
And it's very surreal. I do like the take on marketing that his job's basically a bunch of BS, and like the happier version, the happier clone is just spinning a bunch of garbage and everybody's eating it up because he's got like enthusiasm.
Who cares?
And that's kind of like, well, what a lot of marketing is. Like, a lot of good marketing is just like random stuff that sticks in your head that's not really that smart or like well thought out. It's just like a goofy thing that worked because somebody had high energy, I felt like. But Paul Rudd can be both of those people very well. So I think the casting was perfect.
Yeah.
But what else are we chatting about today?
Well, wait. So one of the things that we were gonna try and mention as we're looking at these different shows is artistic takes on things about the show, and then things that could be discussed about, like points of view of the law that are a part of that show too. So I mean, I guess the first one is, what's the actual law that they're breaking? There's a whole back and forth of
the cloning.
They were contacting the FDA and all that stuff, but what is that law? Is cloning still technically legal in the United States?
Is there an actual law?
I don't know. I hope so. I assume yes.
Me too.
I do criminal defense, so I don't do a lot of cloning issues. But
if someone's like, I cloned someone, protect me.
yeah, I'd be like,
You need a specialist.
yeah. Let me make a phone call. And I try to figure out what, if anything, I could do for him. But yeah, where I had some suspension of disbelief. Are you familiar with that term where you're like, all right, you're like, yeah, I'm into the show, was Paul Rudd. But when that also was broken was when they were like, oh, well, yeah, we were going to kill you. And he doesn't really get that upset. Like, he kind of freaks out for a minute, but then he just moves on. Like, he's just that much of a spineless character that he doesn't care that they were going to kill him, I guess. But I still was like, yeah, as a lawyer, like they'd be shut down immediately. There'd be cops raiding the place.
Yeah. They'd
After
change it up for
him,
comedic
or
relief.
they'd kill him then and there.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them to keep it under wraps. Because as far as I'm concerned, Tom Brady, didn't know that the other 5 versions of himself have been killed,
Yeah.
and this is the new version. Which kind of goes into that kind of weird thing that people always say, what, your body recycles its tissue fully every 7 years or something like that. I don't know if there's any truth to it. But if that is the case, then the 7 years ago version of us are all
Don't you feel like you're a different person
gone.
than 7 years ago?
Yeah.
You were saying you're the
Yeah.
same in some, because we've known each other. We met in 2010.
Oh, is that when it was?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, you're somewhat the same, but you're also, I mean, we're all different.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Had to move to California. Real cutthroat out there.
In San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Was
No,
it
I'm
rough for you?
serious.
Was it?
Yeah.
How
I'm serious.
so?
It was
Parking
hellish.
tickets?
So law school, just to give you a background, they kicked out. They claimed it was less than a third, but it was at least probably a quarter of the students after the first year, probably more, who failed out with $50K in student loans, anywhere from probably $30 to $50K. A lot of them. Yeah. So it was very cutthroat to just pass the first year. And then to get a job out there, you had to do all sorts of internships. So it was very cutthroat to get those. And I was just trying to get like a maybe $15 an hour gig after law school working for this one firm. And there were 700 applicants for 14 spots because everybody wants to live in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys was a Pulitzer Prize winner who applied for it. And I was like, I've worked for you guys for a year. I've done great things. I've done this, that, and the other thing. And they're like, well, we got a lot of interest. Good luck. And so, yeah, that's why I'm back here. Part of the reason is just because it's too hard to find a gig out there. And I failed the bar exam over there. So, yeah. I'm not the smartest
passed it here?
lawyer. Yeah, I passed it here. Because theirs made it way easier. Because there's 3 days. This was 2 days over here. And they weighted the multiple choice a lot higher, which is good. But yeah, the essays. I'm not really a keyboard warrior kind of lawyer. I'm more just there in the courtroom.
I was gonna say that doesn't make you a good lawyer, right?
Yeah, I can't stand being in an office. I try to basically be at court and then while I'm at court, I'll just be working and bring my laptop. And
How many dismissals are you at?
I think I'm over 60 now for the year.
Nice. You were at like 51, or how many was it last week? So
last
how many?
week,
How
I think I was at
many have you gotten
56.
since?
I think I've got 4 since last week,
Okay.
or since the last episode we shot. But yeah, things are going good. I think that the law in it is probably. I know, I've read online somewhere, of course, that cloning a whole human is forbidden, but I know it's being done.
Is it?
Yeah.
How do you know?
I just assume. It's
Yeah.
just like Epstein not killing himself. I just assume that.
So how is that the case? Because he had, what was the story at first, that he strangled himself, right? Would you not have
strangled
broken
himself
bones?
while he was like on his knees? So
That's hard.
he would have had to, if he, I guess the new autopsy is that he was broken bones in his neck or something like that. And the conclusion was cause of death was related to strangulation. Yeah, which comes up a lot in murder trials. The cause of death is always a huge issue because you think it'd be real simple, like, oh, this person was stabbed, so this is what killed them. But there may be some other thing that the expert witness comes up and testifies to jury. Well, this was actually the cause. There was blunt force trauma to the head, and you wouldn't have seen that but for the examination. So this person stabbed them and then left, and then this other person hung around, and they're the ones who had that weapon or something like that. So you could, come up with finger pointing issue or whatever as to who actually caused the injury. And this happens a lot when people like get jumped. What's the cause of death? Who was the final person who was involved in it? And everyone's jointly liable in those kind of cases, but like, you know, the guy who really did him in at the end is usually the one who gets the biggest sentence.
Makes sense.
Because all the other lawyers go in there and they say, hey, look, this was the guy who did him in at the end, and this was the person who did it. My client was just there to rough him up, and they didn't think it was going to escalate to something like this. So
shouldn't you always assume that though? Doesn't make, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, were you going to say something, Ryan?
Well, you know who they think did it.
Hillary Clinton.
No. No. That's what I heard. The guy that found him in his cell was a former cop who's, I mean, a monster. He's a super muscular guy. This white dude, former cop, he's got 4 bodies on him. So he's now doing life in prison. And Epstein, that came in as a suicidal risk, clearly, is supposed to be checked on multiple times every half hour for 23 hours a day. And they hadn't checked on him for like 4 hours. And his roommate, cellmate, found him. And I mean, you're like...
Oh, his cellmate's a murderer?
Right.
Oh.
Former cop.
Convicted?
4-time murderer.
Oh. So,
and he's the one that he goes, I don't know. He just must have hung himself. I think that's the case. I think that's allegedly.
That's wild.
Allegedly.
See the jails out here, there's a big difference between jail and prison. Okay, so the jails out here in Arizona, it's all people who basically, for the most part, haven't been sentenced yet to prison. And then it's people who are sentenced to a year or less as far as their time goes. And then that's usually where they end up in jail, in the county jail. So usually 6 months or less. But, yeah, so it doesn't pass the smell test that these other states would follow kind of a different plan to me. It just seems fishy that they would have somebody who's already been convicted who doesn't really did he have a pending case, like a new case?
I think that's what's going on. I think he was being moved. So he was basically in protective custody because he was a former cop.
Okay.
So he was being moved. So he was going into a new
PC.
Just happened to be in the same place. Usually you'd be housed alone. You wouldn't be housed. So it was not that necessarily they were cellmates, but they had access to the same areas at the same time, whereas normally you'd be locked down 23 hours a day, whatever. So whatever the situation was, this guy had access to find him, quote unquote, and have access to him for a number of hours, where Epstein, who was supposed to be on suicidal watch, checked twice an hour. They're saying that those checks didn't happen because it was busy and they were overcrowded, and this guy just happened to find him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sometimes I can tell you guys straight up, when somebody PCs up or asked to be put in protective custody, sometimes that draws more attention to them in the jail. So this guy, his cellmate, definitely knew who he was, for sure. Or at least there was something fishy going on. And most of the time, inmates will have paperwork with them to show what it is they're in there for. And if they don't, usually the other inmates will assume it's some sort of child molest or child porn type of case. They'll assume the worst, that it's real bad, if they don't have anything. But also, at the same time, usually the clients who are or the defendants who are charged with those types of crimes are all housed together. So maybe this guy also had a kiddie porn case too, or something like that. I don't know. But usually they don't mix that because they know that the other inmates fucking hate those types of inmates.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, Subin, did you guys see Tim Dillon's Halloween outfit
No.
post on Instagram that he did today? We're gonna have to do a sub in on this one. He dressed up like Epstein's now fired temple.
What?
So the box temple with the gold crown and the white and blue stripes.
Oh, that was an Epstein thing? I couldn't figure out what that was. I was just like,
So he was acting like he was Epstein's now fired sacrificial temple and was trying to make it in Hollywood. And he's hanging outside of Scientology buildings, calling people out like, you had as much fun as I did. All this crazy shit. It's so funny.
Dang.
he had a sacrificial temple, like on the island, you mean? Like
That temple, that outfit that he dressed up as with the gold top and the blue and white thick stripes, I believe is the
Or
same.
it's just like the orgy room.
Well, it's in the colors of the flag of Israel.
Uh-huh.
And so there's all sorts of speculation and conspiracy theories that go along with that.
Killing people?
They don't know what was going on in there,
Oh.
but they know that he's got this temple on his property in, this island.
Oh.
And so the joke that Tim decided to bring to it was that this he's like, my former boss killed himself, and now I'm out here homeless trying to make it in Hollywood. And he's like, I know a few people, but nobody wants to throw me any bones like they've ever run into me before.
Oh, I
So
love
funny.
it. Okay, I get it now. That's great. That's gold. So tell us about your event. What do you got coming up?
I have a fun Paint Your Pet coming up. It's a fundraiser for Lucky Huskies. That is the 15th, Friday the 15th of November.
What's
month.
Lucky Huskies?
So it's a husky rescue.
Oh, cool.
And so 15% of the proceeds are going to their rescue. That'll be a lot of fun. I also have a Guinness event coming up. That is that's next Saturday. That's at Irish Wolfhound. That's on the west side. So that'll be fun. Everyone gets Guinness on Guinness. They pay for them. And they also give a limited edition glass as well, which they're super cute. We have the turtle, the ostrich. There's a few others that we have too. I don't know what the next one's going to be. They usually surprise us with it.
When are those events?
So the Friday the 15th is the Huskies event for the Paint Your Pet.
November?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And the November 9th, which is Saturday, at Irish Wolfhound at 1, that is the Guinness event. So you get to pick which Guinness poster that you want. We have some new ones too that you can see at paintingwithcanvas.com. And yeah, they're all pre-drawn. So at the class, everyone chooses which one they want before the class, and then at the class, everyone paints one of the posters. Have you seen the Gilroy posters? You know what I'm talking about, like the toucan poster for Guinness.
No.
Maybe you should come and make an
Maybe.
appearance. Learn
Maybe.
a little bit. But yeah, they're
Yeah.
really awesome. We'll put a couple pictures, images right here. But
If I'm available, I'll swing by.
yeah, you should. Yeah, they're super cool. The artist that does the Gilroy posters, they're all a bunch of animals. So there's like a crocodile, there's an elephant. I mean, there's like the number goes on really, but they still use the same artist, Gilroy, to do their posters, which is pretty neat. He's still around, but yeah, it's pretty neat how they still use that. There's a character in a lot of them where there's the zookeeper, and so the animals are always trying to steal his Guinness. It's funny.
I didn't follow any of that, but come to those events and you'll have a great time. Are you also doing one on the 12th?
12th, Linger. Yeah, that's at Linger Longer Lounge. It's the Lagunitas event.
Ooh, what's that going to be like?
It's going to be fun. We're doing remember last week I showed you the painting?
Yeah.
I think it's right over there. And
Check
or not right
episode
there.
1 and you'll see.
So yeah, well, it was fun hanging out again.
Yeah.
Francy and The Law.
Great time. I don't think we kept it under 10 minutes, but I think that's kind of impossible. I'm figuring that out as we go. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Dan, what's your website? Do people want to inquiry with you?
Oh, yeah, let's put that down here at the bottom again. Dr. Wilson Law AZ.
And you can also see him on Instagram.
.com. Yeah. Instagram. You can just look up Daniel R. Wilson Esquire. You can type that in, or Daniel R. Wilson. I haven't been shadow banned yet. I think you can still find me pretty easily. And the handle is Dan_Bobby86. Yeah.
And I'm Francy the artist. And you could also see all of my classes at paintingwithcanvas.com. And the Instagram is paintingwithcanvas. And also follow us on Francy and The Law on Instagram too. We'll be putting up some more fun stuff. But yeah, this has been fun getting all this. What's going to be more fun each week?
One final important question.
What's up?
Where'd you get the nails done?
Oh, it's this place at Tempe Marketplace. It's like 7-day nail spa. I'm like very loyal to them. They are so great.
They're great.
One lady though, I can't. She just, you know that. Well, you don't ever get your nails done, but one time she looked at my nails for
Don't
like.
assume I don't get my nails done.
I mean,
look at them. They're beautiful.
They are. I got decent nail beds. But she complained to me so many times about my nails. She's like, "Oh, you took so long to get your nails done." Like.
Oh, I hate it when they do that.
And I'm like, yeah, but I'm here now. You're making money.
Come back, yeah.
It's not nice. And she just kept complaining about the paint all over my fingernails. And
yeah, that's the worst.
So
it's usually restaurants and bars now when I get that happening.
Yeah.
It's like, you used to be fat and drinking. What's going on? I'm like, I don't know. He's slowing down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so what do you normally drink? Would you drink like beer or?
Yeah.
So yeah, beer. A lot of less.
Maybe a little mezcal. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Well, awesome.
High five.
High five.
Episode 2 in the books.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Get ready, kids, for another episode of Francy and the Law. Francy and the Law, gonna blow your mind, gonna blow the world. Get your Francy and the Law tonight. Francy and the Law, alright.